What's up, guys? Welcome back. Droid Life Show, episode 97 today. It is October 30th, almost Halloween. I'm your host, Kellen. With me, Tim. Tim, say hi.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Tim here.
So on today's show, well, I guess we've taken about a week off because we did a special show last week. So anyways, since the special show, which was about the Nexus 6P and Nexus 5X, we have since released our reviews. Actually, today. They came out just moments ago. And so we kind of just want to talk about Nexus 6P, Nexus 5X. They're kind of the phones Android enthusiasts like us look forward to every year. And so they're a big deal. And this year's even bigger because we've got two phones. Like last year, we got a tablet. And tablets are kind of a thing we don't really talk a ton about on this site. So we had the one whale phone, which was sort of disappointing to us. This year, we have two phones. We have a big phone, which isn't quite whale status, and then a smaller phone, which is like the return of Nexus favorite. So we want to talk through those. But outside of those, we got a whole bunch of new phones within the last week and a half. We have Droid Turbo 2, Droid MAXX 2 that were announced this week. The OnePlus X was also announced this week. And then the HTC One A9 was the week prior. So we've got all sorts of new phones on the horizon, some of which are already available for purchase. So lots of stuff to talk about. Excuse me. But let's go Nexus, obviously. 6P you had, so you reviewed that, and then I took the little guy, the 5X. So 6P it's the premium, it's the flagship. I think we should start there. So do you want to just kind of do overview sort of your final thoughts after your review and all that?
Yeah, overview. I had the phone for a couple of weeks, while we were traveling and all this other stuff going on. So it was hard to crank out the review as quickly as we wanted to, but we did get it up. And, for my time with it, I came away only impressed and happy with the experience I had. And that's what I look for in an Android device. I just want to have a good Android experience, smooth, a nice display to look at. Good camera is really important for me because I don't carry around a Canon or a Nikon or something like that. I need my phone to be able to take those good pictures for me when I'm on hikes or doing whatever it is I do. So overall overview impressions is that it has a really good, although not supreme 5.7-inch QHD display. Like it gets super bright enough. It was easy to see it in daylight. What daylight we did have here in the Portland area with all this rain going on. But so display was good, although not as good, I would say, as the Galaxy Note 5. The camera also, I would say it has the same camera as the Nexus 5X. And I would say both of them are the best cameras we've ever received or gotten from Google in Nexus phones. So definitely a huge step in the right direction there. For me, it has a large battery, but regardless of what battery a phone has for me, I always seem to get like the same battery life no matter what. It'll get me through a day solid with about 3 to 4 hours of screen on time. And that's exactly what I saw over the entire course of the time I used it. I would wake up 7:30 and it would last me until 10, 11 p.m., which is fine. And I would still have 15% juice left, which is just normal for me. I wasn't blown away, but I wasn't disappointed by any means because I just plug it in at night and then it's ready to go the next morning. Performance, I've talked a lot of crap about Lollipop and Android 5.1 Plus and whatever, but Marshmallow, Android 6.0, has completely reignited my passion for Android. I mean, it seems like Google was able just to basically squash a lot of the bugs and the jank and the hiccups that I had with Lollipop performance. And the 6P with the Snapdragon 810, 3 gigs of RAM, I mean, it performs really well. So I was very happy about that. So, I mean, overall, camera was good, performance good. Android 6.0 is awesome. It looks great. The display is good. The build quality itself is good. It's got that metal with the glass on front. And, at first the design's a little awkward because it's got the camera hump, but it's not a huge hump on the backside. It still lays flat on a surface on its back. So design is good. I mean, everything's good. The only thing that I placed in kind of like the bad category was the lack of expandable storage, but there is a 128 gig option, although it's probably sold out everywhere and will remain to be sold out, and it might pop up here and there. You have to be super quick to get it, but yeah, no expandable storage. I know people are going to be like, what the hell? But that's just the way the world is. I'm sorry. Like you got cloud, you've got streaming stuff. I mean, I don't know who needs that much storage. Other than that, I mean, the USB was good. So on the OnePlus 2, which has USB Type C, that was cool, but it had no fast charging or quick charging or rapid charging or anything like that. And the phone charged extremely slow. So for the USB Type C on the Nexus 6P, I put somewhere in the middle, because while it is a total pain, whenever you leave the house and don't have a Type C charger, you're screwed because no one has one. You can't buy them in stores easily. And but it does charge quickly. So that's why it ranked a little bit higher for me. Other than that, there was like really nothing bad to take away from the device, which is
kind of crazy for a Nexus phone.
It's crazy. I declared it, I think, phone of the year. Although I like the Galaxy Note 5 a lot too. Both devices are awesome. I mean, if you use an S Pen, then you should go Note 5. But if you don't need an S Pen, then the Nexus 6P is great, and it's priced exceptionally well, starting at $499 for the 32 gig model. There is no 16 gig model. Thank goodness.
Thank God.
And yeah, and that's it. I mean, if you like Nexus phones, you like stock Android, you don't need TouchWiz or LG Nature UX or whatever the hell we're calling it these days, then definitely check out the Nexus 6P if you can find it. It's a very, very good phone.
Yeah, I mean, it's the phone I would now want to spend a lot of time with, but we have like 16 other phones we have to review first before that'll happen. It'll probably be like CES before the 6P actually gets some serious time in my pocket.
Yeah, that's a bummer, because I'm sure by the time you get around to it, there's going to be something new. It's going to be 2016. We're going to be talking.
Everyone's saying the S7's coming out in January.
Yeah.
So I'm not even. The 6P is going to like be phone of the year, and I'll probably have spent like 2 weeks total with it.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people, this is kind of off subject, but I know a lot of people talk about how like sometimes we're really lucky because we get to just like play with new phones all the time. But what sucks is when you find one that you really like and you're like, I don't want to play with anything else. Like, I just want to use this phone, and you can't. I mean, I know these are like problems that I shouldn't even be complaining about, but like sometimes like you find cool things and like you want to stick with it, and you're like, oh, on to the next one. Like now I'm on to the Droid Turbo 2. So.
Yeah, that's been my problem with the Moto X Pure Edition. Like, I really wanted to use that phone and like that phone, but as soon as I got it, the volume button was broken, and then I had to review the OnePlus 2. So while I'm waiting for that Moto X Pure Edition to come in, then the Nexus phones arrive, and now the Droid MAXX 2 arrives, and it's just like, damn, I'm never going to get to use that phone.
Yeah, you're never going to get it to.
I still like it, but I'll never get to use it.
Yeah, probably not. So nothing really wrong with the 6P. It's just kind of crazy to think, right? Like Google phones always have like the worst camera ever, or
their battery sucks. Yeah. Maybe their displays aren't all that good, or the camera's god awful. But they fixed all that stuff. I mean, all the reviews on the review so far is like, I just got my 6P and it's the greatest phone ever.
Yeah, people seem to really like it. And even like other publications that have reviewed it all have pretty much said like, this is the best Android phone you can buy.
Exactly.
Which is a big statement for, Google's phones. Google's phones, they just always are lacking in some area. You could also initially buy the phone. And I know like there were some shipping weird time frames that Google wasn't really that upfront about, and it's sold out everywhere now. But if you were early even within like a couple of week period, you could buy the phone, which is kind of crazy because you know how many times Google has put Nexus phones up for sale and like things crash and the stock's gone. And so it seems like they're doing something right here with the Nexus 6P.
Yeah, apparently. It'll be nice if they can revamp, the availability of the phone, because I see a lot of people are just like refreshing or getting on the wait list to buy the phone. And it'll be good if they can actually do like a big, restock essentially.
Because I really want a white one, and that one's like delayed and not even shipping. I don't think like everyone that ordered the dark charcoal one and the silver aluminium. I think those have been shipping. People have been getting them, but the white model, I still don't think that. Like I think Dave Cover ordered a white one. I don't think he has it yet. Poor Dave.
Right. Someone just asked in the comments section, Murphy, if carriers will ever carry the Nexus 6P. Nope.
I don't really think so. I think Google tried it last year, and the Nexus 6 was. Look, a lot of people like the phone, and I spent some time with it last week and don't completely hate the phone. But in terms of the sell through with carriers and that whole partnership, it was a disaster. I'm not saying the phone itself was. I'm saying like the partnership there and the pricing model and all of the stuff Google did there with the Nexus 6 just didn't work. I mean, they didn't sell any of those things, and the carrier connection did nothing to help push those. So Yeah, I kind of don't think either of these. I am a little surprised they're not going to T-Mobile. T-Mobile's kind of always been open to Nexus phones. Even Sprint's been pretty open to them in the past. So I'm surprised they're not at least willing to sell them. But maybe Google just doesn't even want to go that route at all. Maybe they're just like, nope, we're just going to sell them directly.
Yeah, why
People
bother?
people that know them can come get them. So, but yeah, hopefully they restock soon, because I think I've even seen some people just tweet after you're reading your review like, I need this phone now. So, and it sounds like it might be the phone of the year. So hopefully restock.
We shall see.
I would be shocked to see if the 128 gig model like ever comes back. Like, I feel like every phone, even the Galaxy phones that are 128 gig,
They're
like
gone.
they used to be really hard to find. And if they would show up, they would just be gone instantly. So I'd be surprised if it comes back. I bet we'll see 32 and 64 restock soon, and then the 128 just might be gone forever. It's like a unicorn. So, well, that's exciting. Nexus 6P. I mean, like, you just called a Nexus phone like phone of the year.
Yeah, no, it's a total shocker. Ron was talking about it. He's like, dude, I mean, can you believe it? Like, a Nexus phone could be phone of the year. And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't really think about that, because there's always something wrong with them, like you said. But yeah, I mean, Nexus 5 had bad camera, poor battery life. Nexus 6 was just too damn big.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nexus 6P. I mean, it's manageable because it's so thin. It is a little tall. It does have like a massive chin and a massive forehead, but it's a darn good device, man. You can look past that stuff because performance is great. Camera's legit. Whatever. It's a good
awesome.
phone. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so I reviewed Nexus 5X. Also published that today. Here it is, a little white dude.
Nice.
So I think people are reading. I feel like people always read my reviews as me just completely trashing things, and like I actually kind of like the Nexus 5X. I just don't think it's a phone I would choose. Let's see. What did I like about the Nexus 5X? Obviously, it runs Marshmallow, which is always awesome. We'll get updates. The camera, we talked about this a week ago when we reviewed the cameras. The camera on this phone is great as well. It's the same camera that's in the 6P. So it takes really nice photos. I just had some performance issues, which I'll get into in a second. But overall, the camera quality is really great. The price, tough to beat, $379, although 16 gig. I don't think anyone should buy a phone with 16 gig of storage these days, unless it has an SD card slot. But even $429 for the 32 gig model is not a bad price, right? We're starting to see a lot of phones around there. You can take the phone to any carrier you want. Size in hand is great. Like, this is going to be one of those things. Like, I'm on the Turbo 2 now, and it's like the size is already bugging me because the 5X fits in one hand. Like, it totally is a one-handed phone. It's kind of about the size of the Galaxy S6. So it's a one-handed phone, and I miss these. You just don't see that many of them. So size is awesome. Fingerprint scanner is awesome. We've talked about that. Let's see, what was I critical about? The display's average, the USB Type-C, which you kind of talked about. It's just, it's going to be the future, and we're going to love it, I think. It's just right now we're in this in-between period where you got to buy cables and figure out who has a fast charger and who doesn't, and what maybe fast charges, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. And so I was able to pick up a bunch of Google's USB Type-C cables from the Google store, and they fast charge. And so now I have a couple that I can put around the house, but they're not cheap. They're like $25 a piece. And so there's like this extra investment. Let's see what else. Availability, I touched on how, it's just not going to go to carriers. Battery life for me was pretty average. We're talking 14 to 15 hours a day with a couple hours of screen on time. It didn't blow me away. So just average, and that's kind of what I said in the review. The only thing I was really critical about was performance, and so I think this is going to be a sticking point. But I had performance issues on this phone. I mentioned in my camera review how there was times when like the camera just would like fail to load, and then once it loaded, like it would take forever for it to allow me to snap pictures. And I started noticing that over the last couple of weeks, of that happening just in general. Apps kind of freezing up and lagging, and having to press home and kill apps, and button presses not registering, and all of this stuff. And like I would have to reboot the phone in order to basically clear all of that out. I don't know if that's the problem because it only has 2 gig of RAM, if it's the combination of 2 gig of RAM with the Snapdragon 808, if Google just didn't fine tune it like they do every other Nexus phone. I made mention in the review about how my review unit is actually running a build of Marshmallow that's not as new as the retail version. And I've seen some comments already where people are getting hung up on that, saying, oh, you should have flashed the new or waited to get the new to do your review and all that stuff. And I don't really think so. I've talked to a couple of people and seen at least another couple of people reference the exact same bad performance issues I ran into, and they have retail units that are running the newest version. So it's not my build. It's just a Nexus 5X problem that I've seen. And it might not even be widespread. You know, it could be just some phones have issues for all I know. So either way, performance was a little bad. Wasn't exactly thrilled there. And so basically I just said, like, at $379 for the 16 gig, you probably shouldn't buy. And so you're going to go 32 gig, which jumps you up to $429. And, you know, for $399, you can get a Moto X Pure Edition, which has, you know, a higher res display, a bigger battery. You can customize it. It's a metal phone. It's not purely plastic. So Moto X Pure Edition, and also runs basically stock Android. You know, I would probably go that if I was in the $400 range. And then if you just want the best Android phone, you really only have to go up another $70 from the 32 gig version to get the 6P, which is, you just called basically phone of the year. So it's not that I'm not recommending people go buy the 5X. I just think there's better options. Like, it's not that this is a terrible phone. There's just so many other options out there, like Moto X Pure and Nexus 6P. I would definitely say go pick up over this. So, you know, the 5X, it's not like I'm not going to be super sad to see it go now that I'm on the Turbo 2, but you know, it's just not like a phone of the year candidate type of thing. It's just an average phone. So is what it is.
Do you think the pricing is a little high for what it is?
I mean, yeah, kind of. Like, this phone could have been like a $299 phone. Like, if you look at what OnePlus is doing with the OnePlus X. Now, granted, that's running a year-old processor, a year-and-a-half-old processor, but it's kind of similarly spec'd, except that phone's made with like glass panels and metal, and like it's pretty nice. And Google just went all plastic. And $379. So yeah, I mean, like, if it's $299, it'd probably be a phone you'd recommend. So you know, whatever. It's just not every phone is the greatest phone ever. You know what I mean? Not everything Google makes is the greatest product ever. It's just what it is. So go buy the 6P, save up another $100 and go buy the 6P. That's kind of what I'd say to that. So what else do we got for Nexus stuff? Anything really? Not really, right?
Yeah, not really. I mean,
you can still buy the 5X, I think. Like, I think it's
totally, yeah, no problem.
And it's shipping like same day.
Yeah,
so
totally.
If you want that, you could totally go buy it. I also picked up the mint green one. It shipped the other day, and it's okay looking. It's not like the prettiest phone ever. You know, if you're going to buy the 5X, buy the black one. At least it's like all one color, not like a two-toned panda phone.
Pandas are cool.
Yeah, pandas are kind of cool. So anyways, yeah, I mean, our Nexus reviews are up. If you want to read those long form, sort of big old things, they're there on the site. And let us know what you think. And yeah, I mean, it sounds like the 6P we can't recommend enough. The 5X, it depends on what, you know, if you need a phone that's small. If you don't need a phone that's small, I would potentially pick up something else. So, all right, should we talk Turbo 2 and MAXX 2?
Oh, yeah.
So Motorola and Verizon hosted an event this week in New York City that I stopped by to announce their new Droid phones. And so they've leaked everywhere. Like, we knew just about everything. So anyway, this is the Turbo 2 here in my hand. And then you have the MAXX.
Yeah.
Tim has the MAXX 2. So we're now off of Nexus and stepping back into Lollipop and bloatware and on the Turbo 2 and MAXX 2. So the big deal with the Turbo 2 is, well, it's the flagship of the two. The Moto MAXX 2 or the Droid MAXX 2 is the cheaper of the pair. But so the Turbo is making headlines because it's shatterproof, and so you can drop it and drop it and drop it and drop it, and it won't shatter. And there's like a 4-year guarantee on it from Motorola. And basically, they created this technology called Shatter Shield, and it's like a 5-layer technology for keeping screens alive, basically. And it also really kind of comes down to the fact they use a plastic AMOLED screen, which you can't really shatter. So it seems kind of like a silly guarantee. You can't really shatter plastic, right? I guess it depends on the plastic. So anyway, there's a guarantee with it, and people are dropping it. I think CNN actually did a video the day they announced this where they took it around New York and just ran over it with cars and had a horse step on it. It did all this stuff, and it basically dented the screen, and there was like punctures in it that were dented, but it didn't shatter. So I don't think you can crack it, but you could potentially still do damage to it. Thankfully, Motorola is allowing you to replace the top layer on it. So if you do scratch the hell out of the top or do some other damage to it, you can manually replace. And I was actually told by somebody that if you pick up a replacement top screen for the international version, which is the Moto X Force, it doesn't have the Verizon logo, which I'll talk about in a second. And so you can like remove the Verizon logo. But anyways, it's Quad HD, Snapdragon 810, runs Lollipop, and will be updated to 6.0, they say. 21 megapixel camera, 3 gig RAM, 32 gig storage, or 64. Big 3760 milliamp hour battery. If you pick this phone up, you can actually customize it through Moto Maker. So it's the first Droid that you can customize through Moto Maker. And one of the cool things they're actually doing is if you go with the 64 gig option, you can do a design refresh once in a 2-year period. So you can customize your phone and they'll get it. And then within 2 years, you can have them redesign you another one, and they basically ship you another one, which is kind of a cool deal. Other than that, it's kind of a lot like a Moto X Peer, just a little bit different design. And then it has the shatterproof. It has wireless charging, by the way. Verizon loves wireless charging. I don't know why you'd use that when it comes with a turbocharger, but it does. So let's see. Just some initial impressions. Like we've talked about this a lot, but this thing right here, that chin. This is not the prettiest phone I've ever held. I'll just say that. Though, if you're going to buy this thing, like you should pick up the black version. Oh, and by the way, you can buy this today. It's already available at Verizon stores. But Verizon decided they needed to put a giant check mark at the chin and split this bottom speaker in two. It is like the worst designed front of a phone I've seen ever. The back looks fine. It looks like all of Moto's products today. The front is ugly. The phone's also really, really wide because they've added bezel and all of this stuff for protection. And so the phone is kind of crazy wide. I thought I had the Moto X Peer here, but I don't to compare. So it's not really that comfortable to hold in one hand. Like it's wide. And it's definitely a two-handed device. We're going to take it for a spin and we'll review it and let you guys know. One thing I've noticed, though, is the buttons on the side are crazy hard to find and push. Like they're almost too flush with the body. So, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a lot like Moto X Peer. It's just Droid branded, a little bit tougher. And I'm probably just going to go start dropping it constantly just to see what happens. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think people are kind of excited about this phone for the shatterproof stuff, but we kind of mentioned this before we went on air, but these phones are something that just feels... So we've been using mostly unlocked phones lately, and when you pick up a Verizon Droid phone, they're just kind of greasy. Like, I don't know how many pieces of bloatware are loaded on this thing. And like Verizon even did this thing where they took out the Google Now launcher and just made Motorola put in Launcher 3 is what it's called. And it kind of looks like the Google Now launcher, except it's not. Like it has a dark app drawer, and it obviously won't ever receive updates like Google Now launcher. So it doesn't have the vertical scrolling app drawer and things like that. Like it's like and you can't even swipe left to get into Google Now and things like that. It's just, they've done like all these weird things that I just don't understand why Verizon does, but they have. And it's also kind of terrible that they're launching with Lollipop when HTC just announced a brand new phone like a week and a half ago that has Marshmallow already on it. So, they're the new Droids, and some people are excited about it. This is the Turbo. You just got the MAXX 2, so you probably don't really know that much about it. You're probably like setting it up as we speak.
Yeah, how'd you know? I had like a billion app updates. I was disabling all the bloat crap that comes on in like 20 apps. I mean, so far I don't have too much to say, although, I mean, coming from the 6P, it's a lot different. This one I think is a lot more handsome, I would say, than the Turbo 2, just because it doesn't have like the check mark on front and all that. But it has that soft back. sort of like what was seen with the Moto X Pure Edition. I feel like there really needs to be a fingerprint reader, and because I mean these phones, like all the other Moto phones, have the dimples on the back. There should be a fingerprint reader right there. It would be perfect.
Yep.
But of course, no.
Motorola hates fingerprint sensors, so
yeah, and yeah, the phone feels a little sluggish, I would say, and it's kind of
that's running what, like a 615 or something, a Snapdragon 615, I think.
617 or not the 617?
Maybe it's 617.
Yeah,
I'll tell you right now.
Regardless, I mean, it seems a little
615.
Oh, 615. So a little sluggish.
So it's not a high-end phone. 2 gig of RAM, Snapdragon 615. Has a big battery, 1080p display.
Yeah, it's got a big battery. So yeah, I mean, coming from the Nexus 6P, large battery, QHD display, premium build, and then going to kind of like the mid-range to high-end Droid Max 2, it's different. I mean,
you're taking quite a step backwards. It's like shocking probably to your hand and your mind and everything.
Yeah, on the way over, I just picked this up, and on the way back, I grabbed some Starbucks, and I was in line. I opened up the camera, and I mean, the camera actually focused very quick and was snapping pictures pretty good, so that's a plus. I mean, Motorola has at least made their cameras a lot better. So, I mean, it'll be fine. No big deal. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I think the big thing with that phone is price and battery. Although it's that phone costs $384, I think. And is that phone better than the Nexus 5X? Or at $384, if you spend 15 more bucks, you get Motorola's flagship, which is the Moto X Pure Edition. So it's a weird price point that they're going with there. And I know look, Verizon doesn't sell the Moto X Pure Edition, so you can't really compare it to like their lineup of phones. But the Moto X Pure Edition runs on Verizon, and it's $15 more than that. So it's one of those phones where, I guess if you know anything about the smartphone industry, you probably shouldn't even consider it at all. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, buy a Nexus 5X, buy a OnePlus 2, or buy the Moto X Pure Edition. But it is what it is. And I also don't really get why it's a phone, to tell you the truth. Like, they were talking about like the sales shtick, at the event. They're like, it's max everything. It's max battery in pixels and value or something like that. Like, they just ran out of things. So they're like, well, value. And it's like, okay, so max battery. It actually has a smaller battery than the Turbo 2. So it's not even like king of battery. Camera, it's either the same camera that's in the Turbo 2 or just shoots 21, and it's not, it's a lesser Sony camera or something like that. And then the value, it's a decent value, except that there's so many other phones out there that are better value. So anyway, it's just one of those phones that doesn't really make sense. But that it's the Droid line. A lot of times the Droid line doesn't make much sense. So.
The first one was great, although since then the brand has become extremely watered down.
Yeah, and
it stands for something that it never really stood for. Now it stands for like toughness. And
something, right?
Yeah, it's tough and robotic, but
it's manly and tough and robotic.
Yeah, but then the first Droid was just like pure vanilla. It was built well by Motorola, and it was just a solid Android device. I mean, if you brought it out today, you'd be like, wow, this thing's a piece of crap. And I do from time to time. Like, the camera's slow and crap. 5 megapixels, that was a huge deal. 5 megapixel camera with LED flash. And but now, I don't know, the Droid brand, it doesn't really interest me all that much. Like, the Turbo 2 seems cool with the shatterproof and all that, but we'll see. I think they really need to kind of just revamp or maybe rethink what the brand really should mean or something.
I'm just wondering if Verizon obviously has kept this partnership up. You have to wonder if they actually do sell a bunch of these. Well, it's crazy actually. So they announced it on Tuesday, these 2 new phones, and they went up for sale yesterday, I believe. Was it yesterday? Yeah. And today, the LG V10 also went up for sale. And Verizon, up until about an hour ago, didn't even bother to say anything. The Droid is clearly their baby, and that's what they want you to buy. And so they're making a big deal out. The LG V10 is actually a pretty good phone. It's probably better than the Turbo. I can't say that right now.
Yeah.
It certainly looks better than the Turbo. But like they barely even made a mention about the V10, but the Turbo's been like front page. There's like advertising everywhere. They've been getting crazy on Twitter. Like, it's just weird how that works.
Well, I mean, it says right on the box, device exclusive, Verizon, Droid, MAXX, and Turbo too. So, I mean, they definitely want to, I think, push these, get people in the store or whatever, sign them up for their freaking plans and get them on those device payments and all that good stuff. I mean, you know, they're trying to make a buck.
Yeah. One thing I will say though is not to get back to hammering on the 5X's performance issues, but like this phone is super smooth and fast.
Really?
And like the camera, or not the camera, the keyboard tapping, like the little subtle vibration, you know, you get if you have that turned on, it's so much nicer on this phone than the 5X. The 5X was like this really weird, like tinny, like vibrate. It drove me insane. And this one's just so smooth. So yeah, no, the performance is great. Your phone's running a 615, so I don't know what you're going to expect there. Or I don't know what you're going to get there,
yeah, I'm going to actually do a few drop tests on this later today and see if it has a shatterproof display.
It doesn't, but I think if you break it, they do replace it once or something with.
Oh, well, there you go. Nice. Yeah. I do like that it has Moto display. I'm excited to get back to Moto display. Like, you know, the Nexus 6P does have that ambient display stuff going on, but Moto display, I still think I like Moto display.
Yeah, so it's the best implementation. Like, while ambient display on the Nexus phones has gotten better, it's just not the same, especially just because you can like wave your hand over.
Well, this doesn't have that, which is kind of
have those IR sensors,
yeah, it doesn't have the IR sensors. It's a totally clean front besides couple of sensors up here, which
what about the top? You should try waving over the top, because I think even on the original Moto X, not a lot of people knew it, but if you waved over the very top, it did it.
So the top sensor, yeah, it does have the sensor and it does work, and it's got the front camera, but like you can't do kind of like the quick glance over, and you gotta go real slow or like something.
Yeah, exactly.
Shite.
Yeah. Well, we'll put that Moto money to work.
That's right.
What we can do.
Yeah, by the time I'm done reviewing this, it'll be phone of the year, no doubt about it.
Everything that comes out is just phone of the year now. Let's see. So, other new phone this week, OnePlus X. So, you had a chance to play with the OnePlus X. You want to go overview their specs, your impressions, and everything?
Yeah. Specs on the device. Let me just pull them up real quick because I don't want to make any mistakes. So far, pretty good. The first thing you should know, $250 for this bad boy, which is, I mean, insane. I was at the little press event that they held, and literally, like, they announced $250, and people were like clapping. Media people, not even just OnePlus employees. Media
aren't allowed
people
to clap.
I looked at this guy and I just glared at him so hard, and I just like shook my head. No, dude, what are you doing?
Like,
don't
bro,
clap.
You don't clap.
Man, don't clap for these people. Like, it's still an invite system. Good Lord. Anyway, specs for the OnePlus X. We got 5-inch full HD display. That's 1080p. It is an AMOLED display, which is something that OnePlus has not worked with before. So it is AMOLED active matrix OLED. 441 pixels per inch. Runs Oxygen OS on top of Android 5.1.1. They didn't exactly mention Marshmallow, but they did say that updates will come, and the only update for Android 5.1.1 would be Marshmallow. Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 processor, Adreno 330 GPU. So the performance is pretty good. So they said that they tested the latest gen Snapdragon 600 series of processors, but performance was best when they used the Snapdragon 801. I don't necessarily think they built a bunch of these phones with Snapdragon, like 600 series and 800 series, and tested them all. They just went for probably a cheap one. They were like, okay, last year's 801, that works for us. No big deal. 13 megapixel rear-facing camera, 8 megapixel front-facing camera. The aperture on the rear-facing camera is 2.2 f-stops. So in terms of like camera quality, I would say like you want the smaller number. So like the what was it, the G4 that had a 1.8?
1.8, yeah.
Yeah. So you want the smaller the better. Battery 2,525 milliamp hour lithium, 3 gigs of RAM, only 16 gigs of built-in storage. There is only one model and it's 16 gigs across the board. It does have micro SD, which is another thing that OnePlus has never done before. So that gives you expandable storage up to 128 gigs. It's got a dual nano slot, but the slot is kind of cool. So you can either have 2 SIM slots in, or you can have 1 SIM and your micro SD, which that'll probably be how most people rock it. So it's kind of a cool little dual SIM slot going on. Only 138 grams. Thing was very light, although it is small. You know, it's made out of just nothing but glass and metal. Glass on both parts, like the front and back, and then metal around the edges. Chamfered, and they have a special ceramic edition, which is even nicer. It's like 160 grams, but they've only made 10,000 of them, and they won't be available in the US. Stupid. I think I mean, that was the cool one. It had like these cool laser etched edges and stuff. It was really cool, but nope, not coming. And apparently it's missing a bunch of LTE bands, so it should work fine on AT&T and T-Mo, but I think it's missing one of the bands for Verizon.
I'm just looking at the specs are like super limited LTE bands.
Yeah.
Is that really all there is? Because
that's what they sent. So
like that's not even going to work here. I'm just looking at it now. Like we need 17 for AT&T. Like band 4 is band 4, but like AT&T does everything on 17 for the most part, and Verizon's on 13. I hope they need to, like, they're going to update those, because that won't even barely work here.
Right. That could have, they sent the European bands and like the North American bands, and that's what they sent. So we shall see. So far not looking too good there, but I'm guessing either they made a mistake or they will bring it, because I mean they said
they had to have made a mistake. Sorry, I'm on like the website, and yeah, I can see like they're exactly what you had in our spec list, and yeah, it doesn't mention 17.
That's not good. And then one thing to note is that it's missing a couple of things. It is missing near field communication, so no NFC, naturally. Typical OnePlus doing what OnePlus does. I asked the CEO, Carl, about that, and he said, he just kind of gives like that shrug look, like, what's NFC? Like, he knows, of course, what NFC is, but he does not. He's probably so sick of talking about it at this point. He probably is, but I just don't. I guess he just doesn't care. He didn't seem to care. I was like, well, what's up with no NFC, bro? And he's like, yeah, people just, they wanted to focus on other things. So, but he said next time around they would sort of listen to what the community was talking about. So, next time around. Yeah, next time. Even though this was the next time. Anyway, so Bluetooth 4.0, no fingerprint reader. So yeah, no fingerprint reader, which the OnePlus 2 did have. No NFC, and then also it goes away from USB Type-C as well, which the OnePlus 2 had, and it has micro USB. So if you had a OnePlus 2 and you want to get a OnePlus X, you'll have to use that charger, all the other chargers you had before the OnePlus 2 with Type-C. It's a peculiar little device, but again, for $250, it looks really nice. It looks really nice. It looks great. If I'm being honest, it looks really nice. This is the best designed OnePlus device ever. Easily, no doubt about it. Like it feels good. It feels like a little iPhone. I mean, I hate to keep saying like every phone looks like an iPhone, but it looks like a little iPhone.
The only thing is, although if you look at this, like this phone is $250, right? And it's all glass and metal. And sure, they took out NFC, and it probably won't quick charge. I wonder if they enabled that. Did anyone ask, or did you hear if it has Qualcomm's quick charge or not? Probably not.
I actually want to say I think it does.
Okay. So then the only real thing other than the NFC is the Snapdragon 801. Like it would have been nice if they could have used. I think I saw somebody in the comments say if they should use like the 805 or even the 808. And if like they do that, like it's kind of a phone that you would be tough to say no to. And then you also go, why is Google's Nexus 5X $380? Like it's basically this phone. I mean, this phone has more RAM.
This phone has all those customizing features with the Oxygen OS. I mean, it offers quite a little bit.
It does. It's just too bad that it doesn't have NFC. And I know like it seems weird that we keep getting hung up on NFC, right? But NFC is going to be a big deal pretty soon, I think.
That's what I said to Carl. I was like, with Android Pay becoming more mainstream, like you can actually go to a store and use Android Pay now. And
Carl Pay, Android Pay.
He was about to fly out to London. He didn't care. He just wanted to like kick back and like
He does always seem like he's just like, whatever, dude. I'm just chilling. I'm Carl.
Carl, good guy, Carl. And then I also asked their PR person who was on hand. I was like, did OnePlus issue a statement as to why the OnePlus X has no NFC after kind of like the debacle? And she's like, yeah, OnePlus has no comment on that. And I was like, okay, good to know.
They're just gonna never say NFC again. Wow. So it comes out November 19th. Invites,
November 19th.
But they said it should be easier, but they say it's always easier to buy everything, and it never is.
Yeah, blah blah blah. They said that they would sort of open up like open sales like once a month or something like that. Like, sure, you can have an invite or wait for open sales. They do this invite system to help ramp up production. Why no other company does this, I don't exactly know. I mean, OnePlus must know something that every other company in the world doesn't.
They just say they don't want to have inventory laying around because they barely make any money, right? And I get that, but it's not a very.
It's just hard for the consumer. But
you can't people can't buy your product. Like, look, we also live in a day where people just want things now. Like, that's why we have Amazon Prime subscriptions, because we want shit now.
Yep.
Like with your phone, like, look, this phone looks really cool, and like we're talking about it right now, and you should be able to pre-order it now because we're talking about it now. We want it now, and like the 19th is like 3 weeks away, and the 19th is going to show up and you might still be interested. You're thinking, oh, Christmas present or something like that. And then you're not going to be able to buy it because you're going to need an invite. And then you're just going to say, screw it, I'm going to go get a Moto X Pure Edition. I mean, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of how we work today. So I hopefully they sell some and continue to survive, but like they need to get over this invite crap. It's just stupid at this point. Like, sell your goddamn phone. Even if like you tell people like, you can buy it, but it's going to take like 3 weeks to build it. Like, do that. Like Motorola's doing that with the Moto X Pures, right? I can't imagine Motorola has a ton of Moto X Pures just like sitting in a warehouse. Like, they're still assembling them for the most part, like as you order them. So like, why can't OnePlus do that? I don't know. Over all that stuff. Although I think they're starting to listen to people because they didn't like hype beast this whole phone at all. Like, no one knew anything about it. They weren't trolling out feature teases and crap. They just kind of shut their mouth and then announced it. So,
amen.
Well, that should be interesting.
Yep. So there's the OnePlus X. We should maybe get a review unit. No promises. We sort of struggled getting the review unit of the OnePlus 2 and ended up never getting one. So they said they'll be in touch.
I don't think they've actually ever sent us a review unit.
They never sent one for the OnePlus One.
No, we ended up buying one of those too because there's whatever. We're not going to go into it, but
it's over.
All right, so $250 phone, good stuff.
It's a great burner phone.
So another phone that was announced within the last 2 weeks, HTC One A9. I think we talked briefly about this in our Nexus sort of preview show, if you will. But you hadn't actually gone and seen the phone yet, or didn't have it in your possession. You do now. So what's up with the HTC One A9?
It's a nice little phone, although everyone will be happy to hear that I handed off the little iPhone clone over to Ron because Ron's going straight from the iPhone to the One A9. It'll be like, it's like he's using the same phone basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
So his review is going to be up real soon, but from the time I spent with it, cool little phone. I've always appreciated. I don't care what came first, the chicken or the egg, the One M7 or the iPhone, whatever. I don't care. I think the One A9 looks more like an iPhone than an iPhone has ever looked like an HTC phone. Period. Like, there's just no denying that, at least in my eyes. Apparently, we all see the world through different lenses. Regardless of that, I like the little phone. It's a nice little guy. Performance was okay. They've toned down sense immensely, which I appreciate.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you pull down the system toggles, it's not all like geared out. It's kind of hard to.
I know their system their little quick toggles were the worst. They had this really terrible font from number one, and they just looked like actual buttons you were supposed to press, and it was totally. I didn't like them. Yeah.
So now it's like the stock look, which I love. Other than that, I spent a little bit of time with the camera. It was okay. I mean, it's sort of
what
like
has Ron said so far? He said the camera's decent, right?
yeah, he said
He's used it a little more than you and I have, but
yeah, most definitely. He said the camera was okay.
okay.
So that's a good thing. And the issue I have with this phone is that currently right now, what's $399?
Yeah.
And then in next week or the week after, it's gonna go up $100.
Yeah. I think next week.
Yeah, there's no way in hell this phone is worth $499. Give me a break.
No.
Like this thing will not sell at that price point. They could have sold maybe at $399. The top price I would put on this device, this is just me talking, $349 tops. Like it just doesn't offer much of anything in terms of like to beat out other devices. I mean the specs are basically kind of mid-range for late 2015.
This is the one running the Snapdragon 617, which is mid-range.
It's a 600 series. I mean that's exactly what it's for. It's made to be affordable. So it's not an 800 series, which is for those premium high-end devices. So I mean the the OnePlus X got Snapdragon 801. Come on. So
this is a 64-bit chip though, and I think it's one of Qualcomm's newest. It's probably one of their most efficient, but yeah, it's not a high-end processor. So.
Yeah, the device seems snappy enough. So I love
Red says it's like super smooth and fast, and HTC did a really good job like fine-tuning it. Which
HTC has done a great job with decoupling the apps from the system itself. So Sense isn't kind of like just a big bloat skin. They've done a great job of that. So cheers to them. It does come running Marshmallow, which is sweet. So right out of the box, you can use Now on Tap and features like that, which is great. But at the same time, for that price, man, that bump in price, you've got to be kidding me.
Did they announce any carrier partners? They didn't, right?
No, this is unlocked.
Or did they? No, I think they did. Like, I think a couple people said, like, I think T-Mobile and AT&T maybe said, like, we will carry it, but that's all they would announce. They didn't say pricing. I think AT&T actually, or T-Mobile maybe did say. Oh, yeah.
I must have missed that completely.
Oh, no, it was AT&T and Sprint did confirm that they're going to carry it. T-Mobile didn't say anything, but I would imagine that they will because the phone was kind of built for their network. They made some crazy claims with this thing. Like they're saying within 15 days after Nexus phones get new updates, like this phone, the unlocked one, I should say, is going to get updates. Like that's a big, like this is the company that a year ago created this like 90-day promise. Remember that? And then couldn't come close to meeting it. And now they're going to do it in 15 days. Although granted, it's for one phone, an unlocked one they have complete control over, but I don't even know that I believe they can do that. This is the same company that one of their executives, like a couple of weeks ago, it was a couple of months ago now, when all the stage fright thing was happening and everyone was doing like, oh, we're going to do monthly security updates. And HTC's executives were like, ha ha ha, that's stupid and a waste of time. That'll never happen. And it's like, really? Like
they said it was unrealistic to have monthly updates. And now they're saying they'll have updates 15 days after Nexus devices get them. I got a call. I won't believe it until I see it. How about that?
And the thing is, like, I'm sure they'll do it the first couple times. And then when the One M10 or whatever comes out next year, they'll just forget.
But then when Google pushes out an update that's total crap and breaks Marshmallow, and then they're like, oh, well, we couldn't do it because Google screwed up. I mean, they've always, I feel like HTC likes kind of pointing the finger a little bit. Not that it's a bad thing, because Google did kind of mess up Lollipop, and I think that's kind of what set them back on that. But at the same time, just don't even bother promising or making guarantees that in reality you can't necessarily keep, because you're not in control. Google is in control, and if they push out buggy code, then you're left there with your blank in your hand being like, oh, my bad, like I thought I could do this. So
it has some interesting things about it though. Like it apparently will work on Verizon. Like there's some weird radio that's in the phone that works on Verizon's LTE and doesn't necessarily need their CDMA connectivity or something. It's really weird. So there's some like special things with this phone that are kind of cool from a technology perspective, but in general, the whole package seems kind of way overpriced for what it is. And the US version has 3 gig of RAM. The international thing is crazy. We don't talk a lot of international news, but it's 2 gig of RAM and 16 gig of storage. And it's like, you were complaining about the US one being $399 and going to $499. I think this 2 gig, 16 gig international model overseas is like $500 at least, or like 600. Like it's something insane. I don't know what the hell HTC is doing. The phone also has a 2150 milliamp hour battery.
Oh, that's right. It's got the tiniest battery of all devices.
Oh yeah, here's a spoiler. Well, not total spoiler. How about a teaser? This is straight out of Ron's review in the battery life section. Battery life on the A9 is abysmal. That's like his first line of the battery life. Gee. I don't know what the rest of the review says, but I thought that was funny. So yeah, the One A9. I don't even know what to call it. Like, it's not like HTC's new flagship, because it's not really. I mean, I think they're calling it a flagship phone, but it's not really a flagship.
It's not a flagship phone.
No, I mean, it's got some things going for it. I just don't know that like anyone should really consider. I mean, $400. Not to keep going back to like all these phones priced at $400, but like the 5X is probably a better phone than this. Has a better camera, I'm sure. It actually runs pure stock Android, and that's after me complaining about all the performance stuff. The Moto X Pure Edition is the same price right now and will stay there and is a better phone. The OnePlus 2 is probably a better phone. It's cheaper. It's got better specs. I mean, that's the thing, is like this phone's priced like those nice kind of higher end phones that are around $400, except it's not even as good, which is weird. And it looks like an iPhone.
Yeah, we can get a Galaxy S6 for around 400 some odd bucks these days on eBay or something, and it's gonna do way better than the A9. I mean, sure, it may not have Marshmallow yet, but it's got awesome camera and awesome display.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot. Yeah, the S6 we saw the other day for like $429 unlocked. It's crazy. So, HTC One A9.
There's a lot of phones to talk about, man. It's a lot of hate to spread.
So much hate. We hate everything.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, another phone that we think is getting close, right? The BlackBerry Priv.
It says shipping November 6th, right?
Yeah, I think it's supposed to ship like I pre-ordered us one because I've never talked to BlackBerry's PR department. I don't even know how to reach Canada.
They have
so.
PR people?
Yeah, I mean, I think when they were pushing BBM on Android, we talked to them at one point, but now they just, I think because we just don't care about BBM, they don't care about us, which is fair. But yeah, it went up for pre-order at, was it $600? No, $700.
$699.
Yeah, $699. And this unlocked one that went up for pre-order will work on T-Mobile and AT&T. I'd imagine it's coming to all the US carriers. Like Verizon will get it, I'm sure, and AT&T, and they'll have big logos all over them. I'm actually starting to get a little excited about this phone. I don't know why. I think just because it's totally different than and maybe it's just because I feel like I have 10 phones sitting in front of me that all need to be reviewed, and they're all kind of similar in a way. And this phone is just totally not. It's like out there. It's got a keyboard that's like a touchpad and a giant battery, and it's BlackBerry. Like I could use BlackBerry Hub if I wanted to. I don't know. There's something different about it, and I don't know that I'm excited about it. I'm just really interested in using it.
You'll use it for like 2 days and then be over it. I mean, it has a physical keyboard, which I don't find necessary these days.
The one thing I will say is that you slide it up to use the keyboard, and then you can like still see everything on the screen. Like your virtual keyboard is not covering half of your display.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, it's got good specs, QHD display. I mean, I actually was not expecting that.
It's got really good specs.
Yeah.
I'm pulling them up now.
It's got that sweet camera, apparently. Oh, I mean, it's got those pop-up widgets, too, which is kind of like 3D Touch from Apple. I mean, that's kind of cool. Like, any Android phone should implement that. Pop-up widgets? Oh, yeah.
It runs Android 5.1.1. It's pretty much stock. It's somehow only 9.4 millimeters thick, even with that keyboard. It runs a Snapdragon 808, 3 gig RAM, 32 gig storage with SD card slot up to 2 terabytes. A curved quad HD, 18 megapixel camera with OIS and phase detect autofocus and all this fancy crap. What else does it have? It's kind of like fully loaded. Oh, it even has wireless charging on both the standards. So remember how we made a big deal when the Galaxy S6 could wirelessly charge on PMA and Qi pads? This thing does the same thing. It has a 3410 battery, has fast charging. Like they kind of decked this phone out. I still don't know that it's worth $700 because like In 2015, you can't sell phones at $700 because everyone else is cutting costs and prices and whatever. But kind of excited. I don't know why. I'll be over in about a day and a half probably.
Yep, 24 hours guaranteed. You'll be done with it.
Probably.
We'll be tossing it to Ron. Table scraps.
That's a weird one though, because it randomly went up for pre-order, and BlackBerry didn't really announce it. Like, remember BlackBerry like a few weeks ago or something? They made it official after all these leaks, right?
Yeah.
And they were all pissed off that it leaked, and then their CEO tried to do a demo of it and didn't even know how to use it, which was hilarious.
It was his first time handling the phone.
Yeah, and he had no idea what he was doing. But like, they still didn't ever really like issue a press release about it. And then all of a sudden it just popped up on their website for pre-order. And it was like they never really announced and made it official or said anything. Like BlackBerry maybe they don't even have a PR team anymore. I have no idea, but it just was so weird. And so like I pre-ordered it, and I don't even know if that was like an official pre-order. I think so. I don't know what I think. Yeah, but it's supposed to ship like first week of November. Whatever. It's a BlackBerry phone. Can't believe we're talking about it.
That geek dad in the comment section says, don't write them off this time. They went balls to the walls listening to what people wanted.
They kind of did, though. I don't know about the balls to the wall. But they kind of put like everything in this phone. I don't know. The only thing it's kind of lacking is like they went Snapdragon 808, but this year like people just didn't have processor choices, right? After the 810 turned out to be such a disaster in most situations, everyone just defaulted to the 808, which I don't know that I have that much faith in for the long haul. But like they put everything in this phone.
I mean, the specs make it sound legit. I never thought a BlackBerry phone would be relevant in almost 2016, but apparently everyone wants it. So I mean, more power to them. That's great. I thought they were on the brink of death.
Everyone wanted it until they saw that unlocked price.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a little
price was $750. Like they posted it on accident, or maybe to gauge everyone's reaction to the price.
Like,
and it was $749. Yeah, and everyone just went, "Are you nuts?" Yeah. And then the next day it showed back up again at $699, which isn't that much better.
Yeah, I think $599 would have been pretty sweet. $499, although I mean, it's hard to gauge exactly how much it costs to build BlackBerry Hub and all that privacy.
I'm just thinking like the margins on this thing.
Yeah.
They're trying to make like $500 a phone.
Dude, they need it.
I know they need it, but this is not how you like get back in.
You got to rehire that PR team back so they can talk to the media and press. So
seriously, I wonder if they still have a PR team. All right, so in sort of weird news, it kind of came out of nowhere. Wall Street Journal reported this week that Google is going to fold Chrome OS into Android, have a single operating system. I believe they've sort of denied that by now, haven't they? I haven't followed up on it. I'm a terrible person.
Who denied what now?
So I think Google's already told people.
Oh, well, so Lockheimer yesterday tweeted out that they have a commitment to Chromebooks and Chrome OS because Chromebooks are selling so well. They're selling like 10,000 a day to schools.
Right.
So, I mean, they're snatching up the education sector with these Chromebooks. And so they're like, no, we are committed. And so they didn't confirm or deny. They just sort of deflected and said, no, we're committed to Chromebook. So.
Yeah. And they've issued statements to, I think, recode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you expect them to say? I mean, they got a good product that is helping kids learn in school. And they're cheap, they're priced so damn well that even the schools can afford them. I mean, these are the people that have no money. It's the education people. So
yeah, I think like the initial reaction was like, whoa, and then after that it was just okay. I guess it kind of makes sense. Like, why do you have these two operating systems? But yeah, the more you think about it, like Chrome OS is good in terms of being affordable computing platform for schools and all this stuff.
Right.
And Android is, I mean, it is because it's free, right? But it's not really a desktop platform, and not that Chrome OS is a super complex thing, right? It's kind of like a virtual browser operating system, but it's more of like a computing platform. Android, in terms of desktop, Android is just more mobile, and so I don't know, like creating one. I mean, remember when like Google first tried to turn Android into a tablet platform?
Honeycomb?
And they created Honeycomb, which is one of the worst operating system projects ever. I know, and they've sort of, gotten better with their tablet experience, but the tablet experience in Android is still not that great. So I don't know that I really am that excited about Chrome OS and Android merging. Like, sometimes it's okay to have separate products. Whatever. So
Lockheimer, about 36 minutes ago, tweeted that 30,000 new Chromebooks are activated in EDU, like domains, every school day. So that's a lot of Chromebooks. Where the education departments is finding all the money for 30,000 Chromebooks a day, I do not know. I don't think that's what my tax money goes to.
They probably, I mean, Chromebooks in general, you can buy a decent one, I think, for like $200 these days, can't you? But the schools might get bigger.
Oh,
discount.
yeah. Well, yeah, if they buy in bulk, it's kind of like what businesses do with Apple. You buy more, they get discounts. So that's good. I think it's great. I don't really necessarily care if Chrome and Android somehow.
I don't really either, to tell you the truth.
I mean, I turn on. So it reminds me of when, I think it was like in Lollipop or whatever, when Chrome tabs were starting to get merged into like recent apps. I turn that stuff off immediately. I don't want that stuff mixed together. Like I like this separate. Although if Google implements it correctly, I could see Android like running on my thing as long as it was like a working system, like a full system. If I can blog on it, then it'll work. Like I can't blog on a Chromebook. Yeah, I can write a post and all that.
But you can blog better on a Chromebook than you could on an Android.
Oh, absolutely. That's because the apps suck. Yeah. But like I can't do much photo editing or anything like that on any platform. So I mean, really, they got to bulk it up somehow. I don't know. Laptops just sort of suck in general. I don't know. I'm so used to like.
I think a lot of people were just assuming that it makes sense because there's not a lot of development behind Chrome OS other than like what Google does, right?
Right.
Like the app ecosystem they've kind of created there is pretty weak. And so I think people just, because all anyone ever wants to talk about, including like investors and all those kind of weird people, is like growth in terms of like applications and developers and crap like that. And so I think everyone's like, well, Android has all these developers. If we merge that or merge Chrome OS into that, then people will be building for Chrome OS and then it'll grow and people make lots of money and whatever. I guess that's a decent argument, but I also don't know that apps are just the solution for everything. So, and Chrome's sort of about the web anyway, not apps, but whatever. I guess you can have web apps. Yeah. By the way, you can buy an Acer Chromebook 11 for $169 on the Google store.
Yeah, but if I was gonna get like a Chromebook, I want the best one. So I want
Pixel.
Yeah, the Pixel, and it's expensive as hell. And I can't wait for that Pixel C tablet. Woo!
I do not care about that thing at all. I know people are excited, but
Honeycomb looked good. It kind of reminds me of Lollipop. Like it looks good, and they totally like changed up the look from the previous version, but it just sucked.
It was so cheesy. There was all these border frames around everything, and like see-through. They had like this glass appearance. It was so ugly. It was so ugly.
I mean, the wallpapers were cool. It had a real Tron feel. Get out of here.
It did have a Tron feel.
Yeah. So, and I like Tron.
Which is weird because Matthias doesn't strike me as a Tron kind of guy.
Matthias was he there already?
Because remember he came at the end of Gingerbread.
Well, so maybe he didn't have much say. Maybe he didn't have much say in Honeycomb because it was like the tablet side of thing. I don't know. I was not there.
Maybe he was into Tron. I don't know. Maybe he was into Tron.
I could see him being really into Tron. He probably doesn't like the new like Disney version or whatever because it was sort of cheesy, but he likes the old school Tron. I could see it. I could tweet him. We'll find out. Do you like Tron?
Do you like Tron?
If so, do you like the new one or not? Yeah.
Yeah. Which one?
Yeah.
Favorite for Tron new?
I've never seen him wear like neon colors though. It's always kind of pastel.
Yeah.
Or in the sort of matte.
He's just never very robotic, He's all about like the paper and touching textures, not like Tron robot lines.
Exactly, textures, like kind of like Hunger Games, a lot of feathers, a lot of different stuff going on with the beard, curly cues. And whatnot.
Second tweet, TS, do you like Hunger Games?
Okay, good.
So many Twitter polls of Matthias today.
Yeah, I'll just interview him over Twitter.
That's great. So anyway, the Chrome OS is merging into Android, except it's not. that's pretty much the story of the week.
Yeah.
All right, so YouTube Red launched this week, and it's YouTube's paid subscription where you don't have to watch ads, and it's $9.99 a month. And if you have a Google Play Music subscription, though, you just sort of get YouTube Red as a part of it. And if you sign up for YouTube Red, then you get Google Play Music subscription. So you kind of have an ad-free YouTube or Google Media experience, I guess you could say. And people seemed pissed about it initially. Like, they thought it was overpriced. And it's like, well, aren't you already paying for Google Play Music? No, I guess not everyone is, obviously. But, you know, like, it's actually a pretty good deal. Like, you get an ad-free YouTube experience and access to the entire Google Play Music collection and offline listening and all that stuff. I think it's a pretty good deal. You get to skip ads.
You can't find a better deal than this anywhere on the internet, unless it's on the deal store. For $9.99, and think about the people who pay that promo price of $7.99. There's a lot of those people. I mean, you're getting exactly. You're getting the ad-free YouTube. You're getting offline playback. You're getting like that multitasking playback where you can still listen to the audio while doing other things. I've always wanted to do that because sometimes I listen to music through YouTube because I can only find those songs on YouTube.
Right.
So I'm listening to it while I do other stuff. And then plus, of course, I mean, I already pay that much for YouTube for the Play Music. So the addition of YouTube Red is great. Having both of those, if you're not already signed up, that's legit. I mean, that offers you a lot of value for the money, and I think only more features and stuff. It'll only get better. So I will be very happy once the family plans start officially rolling out for Play Music. They were announced, but they said coming weeks. I'm guessing it's got to be close. Like next week, the week after tops, has to be close.
It needs to be close because I have all these phones and I can't load my Google Play Music account on there because I'm going to hit my max.
Oh,
right?
My God, you're right.
I can't play things at multiple times. It's just really frustrating. So I need the family plan like stat.
Bring it on.
So
yeah, shameless plug. Yeah, it's not a plug, more like just a joke. But yeah, so definitely check it out. I think if you're not already on Google Play Music, it's definitely worth just looking at because I personally, Play Music beats out Spotify and Beats Radio or whatever the hell that is. It beats out all those other services in my mind because I can upload my own music. Like I have got so much music uploaded personally of like my songs, to Google Play Music that I can access from anywhere on any device on a desktop.
I'm a big fan of it. Yeah, I mean, I signed up for the $7.99 promo price, and I don't plan on letting that go anytime soon.
No
and
way.
The fact that Google then now has just said, here, have ad-free YouTube as well. I don't have any complaints. It's a pretty good deal.
It's a great deal.
So yeah, and if you're signed up on, like I said, Google Play Music, you just get Red, and it just happens. Like I think the first time you maybe log in, it might say something, but otherwise it just works, and you just have ad-free.
Yeah, I popped up YouTube the other day and it was just right there. And then I got an email officially saying, oh, part of your Google Play All Access subscription is YouTube Red. Now you can watch all your favorite videos ad free. And I was like, sweet. So, I mean, Google made it very seamless, like the integration of it. And while some publishers are sort of upset about how they're going to be getting paid now, boo-hoo. People don't want to watch ads.
Like us.
Yeah, well, I mean, so they're... Yeah, I don't
people
get
watching this video. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, like I mean, it is what it is. It's Google's. It's their service. I don't know why people get so upset when Google changes like their service. I don't know. It's something that they put out there for free to use, and then we get upset when they change the way we have to use it or make money from it. I don't know.
I think part of the argument there is like you have this platform and you're inviting me to come on it, and you've been giving me a way to monetize it for a really long time.
Right.
And now you're basically just saying like, yeah, well, we're changing that now. And you just have to buy in or we don't give a shit about you. Because that's kind of what they're doing. Like if you decide you don't want your videos to be a part of Red, they basically just like blacklist you.
Yeah.
So I get why people are a little pissed about it. And we don't really know, like, are we actually going to make the same amount of money? Like if everyone signs up for Red, are we going to make the same amount of money we were before? Or is everyone going to make less on YouTube? And it's not like we're this massive YouTube channel, right? I think we have 150-some thousand subs or something. And so it's not like a big portion of our earnings with Droid Life. But like, I don't know, if you have 1 million subscribers and a lot of them are Red users. Are you going to go for making like, I don't know how much someone that makes $1 million or has 1 million subscribers, let's say it's like 10,000 a month. Does that drop to 6,000? Like that's a big deal, right? And so I think there's this like unknown that we don't.
Well, the unknown is how many people are actually going to have Red.
Right.
I mean, think about how many users YouTube probably has. I mean, it's got to be a billion, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how many views happen every day. I mean, how many countless hours of video is uploaded every single minute to YouTube. I mean, it's sort of ridiculous. So I don't think it's going to be some huge, massive piece of the people who use YouTube Red, and then all of a sudden there's no more ads. I think it's going to be somewhat small. Maybe 15-20% of people are paying $10 for Red. I just don't think it'll be that huge. But we shall see. Maybe in the next earnings call, because we this all just missed. I think on purpose, just missed Google's last earnings. So it'll be 3 months from now when we find out maybe what sort of impact this has had.
Yeah.
So we shall see.
The other part of this that we don't really know anything about is the YouTube Music app. So they kind of randomly or on the side announce YouTube Music, which is a separate YouTube app for just kind of loading up music and listening to it, which is a part of Red, I believe. And we haven't seen that app show up yet. So maybe that's going to show up with the family plan for Play Music. I have no idea, but there's that piece too. We have so many YouTube apps. Like it's YouTube Music, YouTube Gaming, YouTube Kids. I think there's a YouTube Creators app. I think there's like 6 or 7 YouTube apps. Why they couldn't, kind of couple some of these together. Like the regular YouTube app could totally have just like a music tab, but it doesn't. All right. What else you got? Oh, you want to talk the new app that secretly came out today? Google's new secret app.
Yeah, Google quietly slipped. I saw someone say quietly slip Who's Down onto Google Play. And as of right now, it's a beta invite only. From what I can tell, it just says in the app description, instantly see which of your friends are free to hang out right when you are. And with one slider, you can let your friends know you're down to hang out too. It's that simple. So basically, you slide a little app saying, I'm down, and they can see if you're down, and you guys can get down together. I mean, it's so simple, it's genius. And our buddy Dave Cover stated that he had an idea of this same application, and I guess Google stole it right out from under him. They read his mind, and now it's here. Although, again, it says currently requires an invite to use. If you don't have one, you can request one from the app. So they're probably just testing it. And
looks like you might have to be affiliated with like a school.
Oh, God.
Like it's like a student app or something.
Oh.
Because I just tried to sign up, and it says like enter email address and school name.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, it could just be limited to students. Say if you're like on a college campus and you want to find out what your friends are doing.
You want to hook up?
Yeah. Someone asked in the comment section if I was Ron's secret love child. No, Ron is my secret love child. Get it right.
Yeah, get it right.
Yeah. So here's one thing real quick while we're on air. Let's experience this all together. I have the Google widget right there, and it says problem loading widget. Is that bad? Is that a good thing, bad thing?
I would just grab that, throw it in the trash, and re-add.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Anyway.
Yeah. Moto life.
Exactly. So yeah, if you do want to try out Who's Down, if you're attending school or something, you can give that a go. I can place it down in the chat comment section just so everyone can check it out.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe it's Google's version of Tinder. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Could very well be.
Yeah. That's all I've got.
All right. I don't have anything else. We've actually been going for a little longer than normal. So just a quick recap. Nexus 6P review is up. Nexus 5X review is up. Tim thinks the 6P might be the phone of the year. The 5X, I'm kind of saying pass on. We have Turbo 2 and MAXX in hand, in pocket, on desk. Those will probably be the next 2 reviews. OnePlus X is coming out soon. Ron's HTC One A9 review actually might be out in the next hour if you're listening to this. And Chrome OS and Android could be converging, maybe not. BlackBerry Priv is getting close, and for some reason I'm still excited, or now excited. YouTube Red is here. So, yeah. Anything else?
I think that'll do it for me. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend.
Yeah, be safe on Halloween tomorrow, everyone. Are you dressing up tomorrow?
Surprisingly, no. I'm too old to be dressing up. Like, I can't. The people who are like my age and still trick or treating, like, come on. It's time to let the kids have their fun.
I don't think people dress up and go trick or treating. They dress up and go get drunk and do naughty things.
Well, that's what they should do if they're my age. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna go to like some rave or something.
Not gonna go to a club.
No clubs.
Throw the kitty cat outfit on and go to a club.
Yeah, I'm a sexy cat. Like, no, it's just no, not me.
I don't blame you. I don't either. But I have a kid now.
I like staying home. I like seeing the little kids come up to my house. Like, I've always wanted to kind of run out of the garage with a chainsaw or something. Like, I want to be the one to scare the kids. And I have a big dog, you know, maybe I'll let him like run out there and like bark at him or something. That'd be cool to me.
That would be kind of awesome.
Yeah.
You need to come up with like a costume that works with the wolf pup and you scare the hell out of everyone.
That'd be good.
Kids will appreciate that. I mean, as long as wolf pup doesn't like bite their head off or something.
Yeah, no promises.
All right. Well, everyone else be safe on Halloween. Tim and I will be not doing much, it sounds like. So
yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Droid Life Show episode 97. We're out. Peace.